Hi and welcome back to the course on data integrity and security. As you know, we are covering a course where we are trying to understand different security and privileges on databases. As part of the lab exercises, we'll be understanding MySQL, and for that I have installed MySQL Workbench 8.0 on Windows 11. Now we'll try to understand how do we manage the tables and databases in MySQL. Further, we'll try to understand how can we assign privileges and permissions to a database. Now, in order to communicate with your MySQL database, we'll double click on the local instance. It would ask you for the password. You'll enter the password over here and press OK. So you'll be connected to your MySQL database. Now, MySQL Workbench is an application which helps us in communicating with our MySQL database. We can say that it's a front end or the interface through which we can communicate with our MySQL database. Now, if you'll click on the server status over here, it would give you the overall status or the health of your MySQL database. Since we'll be working on how can we create different tables and how can we create databases on MySQL, so just keep one thing in mind, that in MySQL, instead of creating a database or instead of calling it a database, we call it a schema. And you can find it over here. If you click on this button right here, you'll be able to see the databases that you have on your MySQL database. If you click on administration, you'll see all these options for status, backup, and other things. We'll be covering it by the end of the session today. But first of all, we'll be understanding how can we create a schema. So just to make things clear, let's close these windows up here. And as you can see, there is one default schema or a database appearing, which is sys. If we want to create a new database or a new schema, we'll right click on it, we'll create a schema, or you can click on this icon and it would create a new schema. It's the same thing. We can call it a test database, and we have character set over here. Now this thing is important if you are installing any application like Joomla, WordPress, Moodle, or any open source content management system. They have specific requirements of what kind of character set should be there, so you can select it accordingly. But since we are doing it only for the sort of understanding of the students, we'll go with the default settings. You'll name the database and then you'll press apply. It would show you the query exactly. If you want to type in yourself and create a schema or a database, you can create it by typing the query, or again, they are telling you the algorithm of it and log type status. We'll keep it standard and we'll simply press apply and finish. As you can see, we have a new database here now, which is called testdb. And if it's not appearing, you can click on this refresh icon and you'll be able to see. Now there could be lots of databases or schemas in your database. So in order to create a table in your new schema or a database, as you can see in tables, we have nothing. So you'll have to double click on the database in which you want to create a table, and then you can click on this icon. You can right click on it and create a table. So I'll double click on it on the schema where I want to create a table, and then I'll create on this icon and we can call it as students. Now again, you can select the character set and other options in this one, plus even the engine is appearing, which could be either my ISAM or InnoDB. By default it's InnoDB, so you'll just double click on the name and you'll type in, for example, national ID. It could be integer. We can have it as a primary key. Then we can have for example first name, and we can select it as non-null, and then we can select it as last name, and we can enter thing. And then we can have it, for example, mobile number, and we can select it as integer over here and not null. And then we can simply apply it. It would show us the syntax for that, or if we want to write a query, and press apply. Press finish. As you can see, we have a table of students appearing here now. If we want to see the contents of it, right click on it and select top 100 rows. As you can see, there is no information in it. If you want to fill in the information, just double click on it, enter the national ID, for example 001, and then you'll write it Ali, and then Ahmed, and then mobile number, anything, and then you'll enter the details of a second student. You can call it, and then you can enter the mobile number. Now once that's the information is done, you can click on apply and it would insert the data in the table. Now if we'll close these tabs which are open and we'll right click, show the selected rows in the top 100, so you can see the data is there in our table. Now that's how we enter the information in the tables, and that's how we create the tables. Now if I want to drop the table, I'll simply right click on it and drop the table, so it would simply delete the table from here. Now the second option, or the second thing which we'll be talking about, since the course is about the data integrity and security, the user privileges plays an important role in creating different accounts. Now we could have different departments in an organization. They could have different databases here, and you want to make sure that the user who is an admin on TestDB must be able to access the things on TestDB only. So in order to do that, we want to create a user here who will be the administrator of this account only, and who will be able to access the things on TestDB. So in order to create accounts, you'll double click on, first go to the administration and go to the user accounts and privileges, and then you'll have to click on add user account, and here you can name it, for example, test user, and then you'll keep the authentication type as standard, and you can provide a password for this one as so now that account is created. Now if you want to further make any modifications to it, and you can select the account limits, you can select the options. For example, you want to give all permissions to this account, or it would have limited permissions, and you can see further global privileges what would be there. So since we are creating an account for an administrator on TestDB, you can select all options, and then you can select the entry here that on which database this user will have access to. So I'll select this one and press OK. So now the full privileges that we have assigned here will be assigned to TestDB user only. We'll press apply, and now those permissions are assigned that test user will have full permissions on the table which is TestDB. You can create more tables like that, or you can create more databases, and you can create separate user accounts who will have limited and full access privileges on these tables. Now we'll try to understand that how can we create backups on MySQL server. So in order to do that, again we'll go to the administration. We were in Schema where we were able to see the different databases. We'll click on administration and we'll click on data export. Once you click on data export, it would show you the different databases that you have on MySQL. The database that you would like to backup, you'll click on that, and you can see that it has students table. You can select the option that create the backup of everything that you have, and as you can see, it's creating a dump project folder in your documents in a dump folder, and it would create a backup of the complete database that you have, including the tables which are included in this database. I would recommend click on this thing so that once you restore it, it would create the database itself. Now click start export, and as you can see, it has completed successfully. So it has created a dump of the actual database. If you want to check it, let's click on documents, and you can see the dump, and here is the file which is created by the MySQL. Now let's try to drop the schema from here. We'll go and right click on this one and drop the schema. It's saying that, are you sure you want to drop? Simply drop it from here, and if you refresh it, now we don't have any database or a schema appearing with the name of testdb. If you want to restore it, you'll go to the administration again, and then you'll click on data import, and you'll select the dumps as the default folder, and you'll select it, for example, in dumps, and press OK. So you can see that it has listed the test database which we backed up earlier, and we'll select it from here that if we want to dump the data only or the structure, since we had backed up earlier with the data and structure. So we'll select the first option and select import. Once that's done, you'll go to schema and you'll refresh it, so you'll be able to see the same database again here, and the same tables are restored as well. And if you want to see the contents of it, you can see the same information is appearing here. That's how we manage the databases, and that's how we set different permissions on our tables and our databases in MySQL server. That's it for today. Thank you very much.